Hey everyone, Dr. Ryan at Primal Chiropractic and Primal Elite Fitness. In this week's video blog, we're going to be discussing if you have healthy shoulders or not. This is going to be slightly different from evaluating the scapula or shoulder blade. We're going to be referencing the ball and socket joint. We have been recently treating a lot of shoulder pain, and when we evaluate shoulder pain or shoulders in general, unless there's an injury, we're evaluating three topics: shoulder flexibility, shoulder mobility, and shoulder stability. And if there's any energy leaks within these three categories, you are set up for shoulder pain or shoulder compensation. So we're going to be discussing shoulder mobility in this video, and we're going to talk about all 6 planes of movement and reference ranges you should be hitting so you can avoid either pain or compensation. We're going to get right into it. The first one is going to be shoulder flexion. So standing nice and straight, we're going to start by palm facing forward, and we want to see around 150 degrees before you either run out of range of motion or compensation starts, and that's typically hiking of the shoulder. Once you can get there, we'll turn palm out and continue to 180 degrees. So if you lack 180 degrees of shoulder flexion, this will set you up for problems if you are working above head. We want to have a minimum of 180. If you're exercising, you shouldn't be doing overhead vertical presses or any form of overhead work because of that compensation pattern. Just the opposite is shoulder extension next. Typically, we like to have the other hand against a wall, and we'll evaluate shoulder extension. But just so you can see what I'm doing here, we typically like to see 30 degrees of pure extension of the shoulder joint before the rest of the girdle starts to translate forward. So again, pure 30 degrees before the rest of the shoulder starts to either hike or translate forward. That will provide healthy extension. We'll talk about external and internal next. So for external range of motion, we like to see the elbows in contact with the body, palms facing each other, and we want a pure 60 degrees of external rotation. We don't want to allow the elbow to leave the body. Again, we don't want any hiking going on up top at the shoulders. 60 degrees. Another way that you can assess it is you can reach down your back, and typically we like to hit the top of the shoulder blade or around T4 vertebrae. Internal rotation, palms down at your side, and we pretty much want to see if the palms can rotate fully facing outward, or if your pinkies can point forward without too much rounding of the mid-back or too much of the shoulder. So again, just purely moving through the ball and socket there. And then if you want to try internal by reaching up your back, we typically like to see the index or the middle finger reach fairly closely to the bottom of the scapula or shoulder blade. All right, there's 2 planes left. We have abduction and adduction. For abduction AB, we want to see if there's really not a whole lot of movement in the shoulder blade or scapula until about 110 degrees-ish. So you can go nice and slow. Somebody can hold their hand on your wing or scapula there. And once you get to about 110, that's clear. And then the blade will start moving at this point, and we typically like to see if you can touch the back of the wrists above head, again, without too much shrugging going on in the acromion area. Last one is adduction, ADD. There's 2 ways you could do it. One is you can just go one arm at a time. We're going to reference the elbow joint and see if you can get that elbow crease in zipper line or midline of the body without the shoulder lifting. So you'll notice it's very easy. If the shoulder shrugs, you can get across fairly easily, but can you keep that down and get that elbow to about zipper line of the body? You can do that on both sides, and then the other way you could do it is just try to touch your full forearm together or your elbow creases together, again, without letting this happen right here. So these are all testing mobility. We want you to be able to have all 6 of those planes cleared in order to move on to the next category to start treating shoulder pain, eliminating pain, and restoring function.